Assistance for the dying. A bodiless being is a complete defenseless life. That is why that aspect of life must be conducted with utmost responsibility. When someone gives this being a little bit of help at the last moment, it will go a long way. Most of their sadhana for the next time will be taken care of at that moment itself. The importance of the last moments of life. Why is the moment of transition from an embodied state to disembodied state so important? Let me give you an analogy. Right now, when you are in the body, you are like a river going in one direction. When you become disembodied, it is like you evaporated and became like a cloud. Whichever way the wind blows, you will go that way. You have no direction anymore. At least the river is clearly going towards the ocean. But we don't know where the hell the cloud is going. Whichever way the wind blows, it will go that way. Leaving the body and losing the discretionary mind is like that. If you had a discretionary mind, you would go either this way or that. But once you die, you are just fluff floating around according to your karmic tendencies. You know, didn't they always tell you that angels float around in the clouds? Well, they used the correct analogy. The significance of being a human is that you have the ability to discriminate and choose the course of your life. If you don't employ that, then you are not much of a human being. For example, let us say I am hungry, but if food comes in front of me, I can still discriminate and say no, I don't want to eat it. Because of the discriminatory capability within me, it does not matter how much compulsion arises in my body. If I don't want to, I will not eat. That is all. I can discriminate. Without this, you become like air. You will move by tendencies alone. When you lose the body, your ability to discriminate is gone. All the memory and other mind stuff are still there. Only the discriminatory process is lost. At that moment, if you create even a little bit of unpleasantness, then the unpleasantness will multiply a millionfold. If you create a little pleasantness, the pleasantness will multiply a millionfold. Why is this so? Let us say today you get a little angry. You can use your discriminatory mind and control it. But if you did not have this discriminatory mind, the little anger would flare up into madness. The moment of death is a significant factor because whatever is the content of one's mind at that moment, pleasantness or unpleasantness, it could multiply manifold because of the lack of discriminatory mind. This is why it does not matter which part of the world you come from, which culture you come from. Every culture holds that when a person is dying, you must allow them to die peacefully. During this phase of disembodiment, if your pleasantness multiplies, we say you are in heaven. If your unpleasantness multiplies, we say you are in hell. Hell and heaven do not exist as geographical places, but as human experience. You do not have to be disembodied to be in hell or heaven. Even when you are alive, they can exist for you. The advantage of being here with the body is that sometimes when you get into hell in your experience, you can employ your discrimination and get out of that pit. Similarly, sometimes you may get into heaven in your experience, but out of your discrimination, however pleasant the experience is, you can drop it and move on to the next thing. Even when in the body, someone who loses their discrimination will stay depressed for long periods of time if they get into depression, while pleasant experience will turn into addictions. In Indian culture, great importance was given to how a person who is dying should be treated. They said a person must die in the right space, in the right atmosphere, with the right kind of emotion, and with the right kind of thought. When someone is dying, they said, you are never supposed to say, Ayo Amma. You are supposed to say Rama or Krishna or Shiva or something like that. The idea is to generate some thought to think beyond oneself. It is a phenomenally scientific process. It is not an emotional process, because this last dimension of thought and emotion that you create becomes the major tendency in that being. They said, even if it is your enemy who is dying right now, you must create an appropriate atmosphere and see how he can die peacefully. Don't do ugly things. Maybe you shot him in a battle, but you take off your hat when he is leaving, or you say Ram Ram, or whatever you know. This is because these tendencies will go on for lifetimes. Whatever life they might have lived at that final moment, if they generate the right thing, they could go into a good trip rather than going into a bad trip. So, this is a tremendous opportunity to enhance someone's life. When someone is dying, at that moment, the whistle has already been blown and the game is over. There is no point kicking now. Moreover, your enmity is only as long as they carried this body. Once they shed the body, the drama is over. They are no more your enemy, nor are they your friend. He or she is just a piece of life, and a life has to be treated as a life. When the play is on, each one of us watches, relates, and reacts in many different ways. When the curtains fall, all stand up. Only one in slumber remains as he was. Everyone else, even those who did not enjoy the play, stand up and acknowledge that it is over. It would be fantastic if every act of the play was appreciated or at least looked upon with respect. If you did not succeed in that, at least the last scene, that is what death is, should be appreciated. That is the reason why, when you see somewhere that even the dead are not treated with respect, something within you is shaken. It is not the body that needs to be treated with respect, but the being who is exiting slowly who needs it. It does not matter how they lived, at least the living must happen well. Every human being must have that much intention. This is the least you can do for that person or the life that we are. Everywhere in the world, people are reasonably aware of it, but in India, it has been a very conscious process. In the Kurukshetra war, the Pandava prince Arjuna was the most skilled warrior, but it was his brother Bhima who was considered more valiant and feisty. But that glory got tainted because he desecrated the body of an opponent. In one of the battles, he was pitched against Dusasana, who was instrumental in disrobing Draupadi. So Bhima had taken a vow at that time to avenge Draupadi's humiliation. On the day of the fateful battle, Bhima not only killed Dusasana in a brutal manner, but he also tore upon his chest and drank his blood to fulfill the vow. Warriors from both sides were aghast by this act of Bhima. Though he was only avenging an earlier injustice, Bhima's reputation was tainted forever by his dishonorable conduct because he violated the war code by not treating the dead body of the enemy with respect. Another reason why the way we conduct this moment is very important is because a bodiless being is a completely defenseless life. That is why that aspect of life must be conducted with utmost responsibility. When someone gives this little being a little bit of help at this last moment, it will go a long way. Most of their sadhana for the next time will be taken care of at that moment itself. If you look around, you will see how much struggle people go through just to be loving or to drop hatred and anger. Sometimes, when I see people struggling with these things, it beats me as to why they struggle like this. Even to drop their old feelings and habits, they struggle. But when you help a person die well, all these things are washed up, just like that. You are born with the right quality. This is the simplest way to ensure a being is reborn pleasant. This is not all. More things can be done too. Even after one leaves the body, we can guide that being. If that person has sufficient trust in you during the last few moments, you can also make them on what they did not on all their life. All this can be accomplished if you can create the right situation for them and help them to die well. This is a huge contribution to that being's life. Moreover, if a person truly dies well, then there is no next time for them. That life moves into the nature of limitless freedom. But all this cannot be done with one's emotion or good intentions. Just because you wish someone should go to heaven, they will not go to heaven. If you want to do such things, then you need to have a different level of understanding, awareness, and mastery over life. Otherwise, those things are out of the question.